Shut up and sit down. You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Give me a bike, give me a lane, give me a spin in the sun or the rain. I love to swoop, I love to swirl, I love each highway and byway and curve.
Yep, you are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Nothing more and nothing less. Tip of the day, a fall into a ditch makes you wiser. I guess these guys must not have gotten the memo on this one. Now, enjoy the show, or at least pretend to do so. You got this.
So let's then strike. I won't have to hike, for the thing I like is my bike.
Oh, that's a hell of a weird sound. I never made that before.
Hi, and welcome to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During, and today I'm here with the birthday boy, Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance in the studio.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday,
You
Lance.
look older.
Yeah, I feel older.
1 year older.
I feel 1 year older.
Yeah.
It's the big 4-9.
Yeah, that's a good one.
1 year closer to that 50-year age group.
That's-
I want in that 50-year age
Absolutely.
group.
Yeah, that's a good thing about aging up those major milestones. You're like, age group.
Yeah.
He's just a scaredy pants. He knows I'm coming back strong next season. He's
right.
going to run
I
away
want-
from me into the
I
50s.
want out of that 40 to 49 age group. I don't need to be with Jake.
All right, and to his right, Mr. Evan Price.
I would ask what everybody else is drinking, but I really only care what Lance is drinking today. What are you drinking, Lance?
I've got Kirkling sparkling water, lemon flavor, caffeine free.
Sponsor.
Yes.
Sponsor
Birthday
opportunity.
sponsor. Yeah.
What you sipping, Evan?
Same but different. The lime one.
Lime
Same,
version.
but different. Yeah.
Yep.
And, of course, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look marvelous out there.
Thank you.
Yep. You do. It's funny because it's true.
Yeah. We are here with podcast number 62.
Wow.
62. This isn't just a random number, but that just sounds like a lot to me. Is that a lot?
It's a lot. It's a lot of time to
does.
spend with you guys. I haven't regretted any of it.
Yeah. How many hours that equates to if you went back and added up all of the podcasts?
We're doing like 90 minutes each. Whew, that's
Well,
math.
geez, last week was 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we stood around and talked for another hour and a
Hour.
half afterwards.
I mean, we're right around 100 hours.
No wonder I was running behind on all my work last week. I'm like, God, I can't get caught up. Let's backpedal. I'm going to save Lance for last because he's going to require the most time. So
Big surprise.
we'll kick this thing off with Evan. Evan, backpedal with us.
So this last weekend was Ironman Texas. Now, I was not there, but my mother was racing it with a bunch of her friends.
Oh, cool.
And this is like what my mom does for fun with her friends. It's like they go to these races that end up being terrible conditions, and they just all like are wrecked at the end of these races. And then they all just go home. They're like, why did we do that? We shouldn't do these again. And then they plan for another one in like a week. Give her like... She on the phone told me, she's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to do another one. I'm giving it under 7 days before she's basically already signed up for her next one.
Again. Yep.
But yeah, she went 13 and a half on a day when people were having serious stomach issues with the humidity.
It was really
It was
warm,
like their
humid.
first super humid day in Texas. So even the Texans apparently, so even the Texans were saying they hadn't gotten a lot of humidity or heat in the last, I mean, really, when I was in Galveston, it was not warm at that point, comparatively to what it usually is. Like, it was humid for us, but not for them. And this day, I think the heat index got into the mid 90s.
Wow.
And I mean,
I remember that happening in Alabama. Same thing where it would get really hot. It was always around state meet for track field or like maybe like sectionals or regionals or something like that. And I like
is that like May for you guys then? Yeah.
It's basically like beginning of May, and then I would just throw up. Like I would get so because it would just it hits you so hard, and you're not used to it, and you're running as hard as you can.
Yeah.
So you just get sick.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to state. I like all I had to do was finish basically. And I don't remember I think it was the mile or something like that, and couldn't do it. And I just had to I threw up, stepped off the track, got back on, tried to keep going, threw up again, and my coach was like,
Where you give it a third shot.
Technically, once you step off the track, you're done. He was like, but
you're just gonna let you finish the race and
He's
tell
like-
you later. Yeah.
He was like, but you weren't gonna finish anyway. He was like, and then it was like the 2 mile after that, and it was just like, I was just like, just chill out and just like do what you have to do. Like, don't try to like set a record or anything.
Right.
Just like
Yeah.
just finish
finish
the
it.
top whatever 3 or whatever you need to do to get to go to the next meet. I think it was state for that. So what a pain.
I just like running without humidity so much. That I think it's just a mental thing. It's like once you're in humidity, you're just like, oh god, this needs to. On the bike,
Yeah.
it's always fine. You got that nice little natural air conditioning and moving. And
Or you could just give up running.
that's true. I could just do that.
I think you get used to it, and then I
Riding's
think when
pretty fun.
the weather breaks, it's kind of like coming down from altitude. In
It
a,
is,
like,
yeah.
in this weird way.
Feels
where it's
super
like,
awesome
You just
when it's
feel
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, rode with the group on Saturday too, which was just a fun ride. That was we like started and it was I thought like all week it was like Jake, wasn't Saturday supposed to be like good weather like all week
Yeah.
basically?
No.
Was it not? Was I
No,
looking at Sunday? I was probably
always-
looking at Sunday
so,
all week.
Yeah, Sunday was geared up to be a great day. Saturday
Yeah.
all week long had been calling for rain first thing in the morning.
Was it?
Like 7,
Okay.
8, 9 o'clock, and it was supposed to clear up. And I'm like, all right, we got to get started somewhat early. If we start with a little bit of rain, it won't kill us. And then it was the day before
Yeah.
they took it off the forecast. It was just going to be cloudy.
That's what I was looking at then. Yeah.
And then fast forward to
Yeah.
Saturday morning, and we started off
It was,
with
yeah. I mean, it was what like an hour in and it would stop raining at least. Maybe
it was,
even less.
No,
it was like 30
fif-
minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah,
it
okay.
was. It
Yeah.
was stopped raining by the time we got to the boat launch, where we have our quick little potty
Oh,
break.
you're right. It did. Yeah. It
And
did stop
that's only
raining by that
15
point.
minutes away.
It
So
seemed like
Yeah.
it poured, but it might have been right before you guys started. But it was like it looked like it was like hailing.
Yeah.
It was coming down hard.
Yeah, I mean, we got wet, but then dried out quick,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, and then I got rained on at the end again, but that's okay. So, yeah.
all right.
Yeah, but outside of that, it was a normal week last week. Pretty normal.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Matt, would you like to
Sure.
backpedal for us?
Yeah, I didn't have a great week. I wanted to hit more volume than I hit, but I went on a couple cool rides with you, Jake, and
Yeah.
they were super nice. They were basically like carbon copies of each other. We did like a flat ride on was it Wednesday and Thursday? No, it was Thursday and Friday.
It was Thursday and Friday, correct.
Because Wednesdays are tough for us. But yeah, so they were both like flat 1 hour chill rides for the most part. And then the next day it was like same thing. It was like, this is cool. They were sunny, beautiful days, so it was great. Yeah. And then this weekend I should pass over because it was just hanging with kids, and that was great. Just didn't get as much volume in as I wanted to as far as training goes. But this morning I got in the open water in the lake.
Oh yeah,
With Mr. Evan Price.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was quite
it was
cold.
not warm.
60, like right at 60 degrees. So
The water
we got in a,
temperature.
we got in a
Water
solid amount of time for how cold
Yeah.
it was, though,
Yeah.
which was good.
we got in, I don't know.
Just under 3K.
Yeah.
So,
Under 3K, but it was good. I can tell, like, so I've been, to be nice to Evan, I've been beating him up in the pool.
He has been beating the pants. So
I've
we'll
been
do workouts together, and I'll be feeling good, and then we'll always do this last set on Mondays where Matt's always like, "Oh, hey, let's do like 4x200."
Yeah.
And I have like this mental block with a 4x200 set now because Matt has just destroyed me on this
Yeah.
set, so I can't even by myself do 4x200 anymore without feeling like I'm getting dropped.
But fast forward to today, open water, and I'm like, okay, well, if I can swim with Evan, that would be awesome. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Like, the guy is fast. He's fast in the open water.
That's the only place I'm fast with swimming, and fast is very relative there.
It's
That's like
relative.
the
It's
only
relative.
place that I'm okay at swimming is open
Yeah.
water.
I do realize that. But it was cool. We got in the open water first time of the season, and it's pretty early still. We're still April, so, usually kind of early May, like right around this time is about as early as I ever get in the water. So, yeah.
We're both swimming well for just now jumping into the open water.
Yeah.
So
And I'm hoping
fun.
the open water comes around. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
will.
these 4x200s, is he like,
Yeah.
hey, let's race this, or is it
Well,
just like we're
it
gonna
wouldn't
do
matter. He's going to toast
Yeah.
me no matter what.
Yeah.
Like it's
I've been beating you up on this.
Yeah.
Just like kind of into the workout. Here's our last set kind of thing.
Yeah.
And,
I've got like a mental block on that set. Like I have to.
hard.
That's going to have to be like the set for me. I have to stay with Matt at some point.
I
on
know
that
at one
set.
point in time this coming week, I will be out riding with Matt. I'll get him back for you. Hey,
Okay,
Matt,
good.
we're at the end of this ride.
4
Let's
by
go do some,
200. Yeah.
some interval sets, buddy.
200. We could do 4x200.
There you go.
Give him
You can
4
only
by
beat
2
me-
minutes and
in
just
4x200,
hammer
you
him.
can only beat me by so much in a bike. Yeah.
200-meter sprints.
200 meters.
All right. Lance. You had a weekend.
I had a weekend.
I think Lance wins the weekend battle here.
Backpedal it for us, bud.
So kind of a big week for me. I actually, the beginning of the week, I had to drive to Pullman to help my daughter out.
Oh.
So I actually stopped and rode in the Dalles and Hood River, and then did some riding in Lewiston, Idaho, and in Pullman when I was out there as well.
I'm always curious. I'm like, I think he's in Hood River.
I can't tell
It's like,
half the
I don't know
time,
where.
yeah.
So like, I send you texts like, "Can you ride?" And I'm
Right.
like, "But I think he's in Hood River."
Yeah, to clarify, I do not have a job.
You're living the dream, my friend.
I call myself unemployed. I am unemployed at the moment. We have questions on the podcast from listeners. Who is this Lance guy? How come he never works? How come he gets to go all these cool places? It's because I've paid some dues, and right now I am unemployed / retired. So.
Can we just pretend like it's because our podcast is making a lot of money?
We're being fully supported by the podcast. No.
This podcast brought to you by Kirkland Sparkling Water.
We're just hoping that
That would be a
to come
killer
one day.
sponsor. Actually, I'm sure they make great money.
So, but the big thing this weekend, I did the first gravel stage race that was held in the U.S. this year.
First one in the U.S., huh?
First one in the U.S. He was
Really?
claiming that it was the first one ever, but Rebecca's Private Idaho had a stage race last year.
You did that one, didn't you?
I did it, yeah, as well. So this one was based out of Bend, Oregon. It was called the Cascade Gravel Grinder. It consisted of 3 stages. The first day was a 5-mile gravel time trial.
Nice.
What kind of TT bars did you use?
No aero equipment was allowed whatsoever.
So
Yep.
you had to leave the
What
arrow
did you
helmet
do with
at
your
home.
What did you do with your
had-
pointy helmet? Did you just like?
I did wear an arrow-ish helmet, but I
Okay.
didn't wear an arrow helmet.
Okay.
And it was only 5 miles, so it was like a 15-minute max effort. We had, I want to say there was like 50 people in the Masters division that was doing the 3-day stage race.
Wow.
And
That's a
we had
massive group.
We had 4 teammates there. There were 4 of us out there
Wow.
that went and did this. All Masters, all competing in the same division. It was so great to have teammates there that we could warm up together and ride together and hang out afterwards together and go to dinner together and
Yeah.
fix each other's stuff and share things with. It was so nice to have teammates there. So we were there with Andy Levine and Whitney Phillips and John Hatfield. So it was super fun.
So you hammered that 5 miles.
I did.
Is it just max like all you can
Yeah.
go?
What was the 5 miles? What was it like?
Uphill?
They said you started with the descent, and then there was about 400 feet of climbing, and then it finished with the gradual descent. And he said, 32 mil tires should be fine with that. And no, it was way rough. The road was rough. People broke rims.
What?
People flatted. People crashed because the road was a lot rougher than he anticipated.
Did you preview it?
So, kind of silly. Of course, I get to Bend fairly early,
Yeah.
and I got on my bike and went and pre-rode the whole course, and then rode back into town, and then got on my mountain bike and went and rode on some Phil's Trail because I'm Bend. It was beautiful. I wanted to ride. Anyway, so, I pre-rode it, so I knew kind of what to expect. And I might have used up a little bit of gas in that pre-ride.
Probably.
Before the stage, but I wasn't too concerned about it. I ended up 13th, and they only gave points to the top 10, which proved to be eventful later on in the week for me. I mean, I went super hard. It was like 15 minutes max effort,
I feel like that's not really your favorite thing.
Nope. No.
Yeah.
I would not say that's your wheelhouse.
It's not
Yeah.
really as
5 minutes would you could crush.
5 minutes would be great, and an hour it'd be great, but
Yeah.
not 15 minutes. Yeah, yeah, because I averaged like 400 watts or something for that,
Still good.
That's still pretty darn strong. Yeah.
and it was And the more technical the descent, the better I do.
Yeah.
because I can gain ground on the technical descents. But anyway, but the team did well. The next day was a 70-mile gravel stage, 100% on gravel, with about 4,000 feet of climbing. And there were extremely difficult, ruddy sand patches and sand sections and difficult washboardy downhills. It was a very difficult stage.
I bet you did well on that.
I ended up 7th
Okay.
out of the 45 or 50 that were in the stage race. So I did well. John Hatfield actually beat me by about, I think it was like 40 seconds. He just barely beat me. There was a lot of climbing, and
He was really strong at Yamhill as well.
Yeah.
He's good out there.
he's good, yeah. And one of the other guys that we were riding with, there were lots of crashes in that one too because the terrain was difficult, and it was a 4-hour day. I was out there for 4 hours and 20 minutes or something, going full out.
That's rough.
Yeah. And so, but happy that I finished like 7th in that stage.
Did you
which was
bring
great.
like nutrition?
Yeah, so a couple of bottles, and I had goose and whatnot. I did not stop at aid stations.
Right.
The very last aid station, with about 20 miles to go, I stopped and downed a Coke.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And
There you go.
And then
Did that Coke save your life?
And then blasted on. Yeah.
Would you have beat John if you hadn't stopped?
No, because he wouldn't have gotten the Coke then.
Possibly.
I think you would have beat him.
Possibly.
Yep.
Did John stop for a Coke?
John, I think he filled a water bottle, or he may not have. I'm
Probably
not
did.
sure.
That's the difference.
Yeah. But like there was like a 15-mile descent to finish that, which was just really hairball, and I gained like 2.5 minutes on John in that last like descent.
Clear conscience.
Yeah. Right. So it was rough. After that day, we were all really beat up.
Yeah.
Because it was hard on our hands, it was hard on our bikes, it was hard on our legs. But we woke up the next morning. The next stage was 66 miles and about 5,000 feet of climbing.
Wow.
Yeah. But the gravel was smoother.
Yep.
And as I started that stage, man, the first like 15 miles, I just felt terrible.
Yeah.
But as the day wore on, I just felt better and better and better, which I was not really expecting. And I ended up catching John halfway through on a climb, no less.
Wow.
And I ended
Those
up,
of our
You're
listeners that
climbing
don't
pretty darn
know,
strong, yeah.
he's lean.
he's lean, and he's a great climber.
Yeah, he can climb.
And if I can get to a top of a climb before him, he's generally not going to catch me on the descent.
Right.
But I ended up beating John by like 10 minutes that day, which was unexpected. And I ended up like 10th for Masters that day. I just did not start well. But beautifully run events. They were well organized. They had difficulty with the courses because there was some late snow that hadn't melted, and they had to change the courses.
I was going to ask you about that because they had video of them like plowing
a road.
like plowing a gravel road with a little bobcat or something
Yeah.
like that. Did you guys ride through
We
there?
did not. It didn't melt out, so we ended up having to change the course to skip that section.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I ended up 7th overall for the whole 3 days.
That's a solid effort, Lance.
Yeah,
That's
it
very
was.
solid.
And if I had gone, I figured this out. If I had gone 15 seconds faster in the time trial, I would have been 4th.
Wow.
I would imagine
that
that
close, right off the
mountain
podium.
bike puddling around in
Yeah.
Bend may have taken those 15 seconds
It
out of your
may
leg.
have. But the 3 guys on the podium were in another atmosphere than me. I was
Really?
Yeah.
So when you say 7th overall, was that for everyone or just the
for the Masters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for the Masters.
Was there a pro field?
There was an open field, which Robert Cummings won.
No way.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
He did. He took second, I believe, on the 3 stages, and he ended up winning. And he won because on the last stage, on the last day, all the leaders are together. Okay? There was a group of like 10 guys, and there was one short paved section before you did this last like 4 or 5 miles of gravel, and they were all in a pace line, and they're all like lined up. Robert happened to be on the front. Another guy was on the back. Dylan Caldwell, who is a fantastic rider, had won every other stage. I don't know who it was, but the guy that was in second, as he was riding, his right hand slipped off his bars.
What?
And he lost control and went down, and everybody piled up behind him.
Oh no!
So I think Dylan Caldwell broke his bike. Jacob Rathke, who is also a local pro, he broke something. Matt Lieto,
I was going to ask
friend of
about
the-
him.
he was
Friend
in
of
the
podcast.
line, went down, broke his elbow.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
That's
I got to send Matt a private message that said, sucker, I finally beat you. you were broken in the ditch when I went by, but I finally beat you in a race. he thought that was funny.
Okay. Man.
So Robert had all this mayhem happen.
It all
behind him. He
happened
just
behind him. He just
rode off into the sunset.
He just happened. He lucked out that he
Yeah, he
wasn't in. He wasn't behind. Yeah. So, but
Pays
he
to be
still,
up front.
Yeah, he still rode strong.
Such a
He
humble
ended up-
kid too. I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
texting with him this morning, and he had made no mention of that. And I didn't go look at the results because I wanted to hear it from you, like how the race
Yeah.
went. So I didn't get any of this information until just now.
Yeah. So Robert, he beat me by a solid half hour every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
23.
That's what I thought.
25.
He's 25.
He's
think
mid 20s.
so.
I know he's still so young. Yeah.
I don't know if he's 25 yet. He might be race age 25 and still
He might
24.
be, yeah.
Anyway, he's pro cyclocross guy. He's on the cusp of becoming a pro mountain biker. I mean, he's the 2-time back-to-back defending state champion for mountain bike.
Yeah.
In the pro elite class, and probably going to add gravel grinding to his resume here pretty soon in the pro category. Such a great kid, such a strong
solid guy.
kid. So.
Yeah, and after the 3 stages, I think that afternoon he went out and went mountain biking with a buddy of his.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Probably dropped him too.
One of the cool things about this weekend, I end up, every time I've done these gravel races, I've ended up connecting with this gal out of Bend. Her name's Sarah Max. She's like an elite level
You
mountain biker.
raced with her at Rebecca's Private
So
Idaho,
we
correct?
raced like for 70 miles out of the 95 miles at Rebecca's Private Idaho. When we were at the Gorge Gravel Grinder a couple weeks ago, halfway through the race, I rode up to Sarah and I'm like, Sarah, what are you doing? And we rode together for like 30 miles.
Should
and
your
that
wife
went
be concerned?
As well, probably. And then, so same thing. On the second day, halfway through the race, I like ride. It's good to know that my fitness and speed ability is about on par with elite women. I can't hang with the elite men.
Yeah.
But with the elite women, that's about my speed.
Yep.
And so I ended up catching her, and we rode for quite a while together. And I only beat her on the second day because there was a descent that I just bombed.
Yeah.
But on the last day, and she ended up taking second overall for the whole.
Good for her.
Yeah, for the whole weekend. And she's 40 plus with with like high school senior daughters, and she's a financial writer.
Huh.
So she's busy mom and career woman too.
A kick-ass lady on a bike.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's funny, as I felt better and better through the day, I caught her with like 15 miles to go. And she was like, "Oh, Lance, I'm so glad you're here. Let's work to the end." And I was just feeling good.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this, but we were a minute behind the leader, the women's leader. And man, I just put my head down and just kind of buried myself for that last 15 miles. And she sat on my wheel that whole time, and she's like, "I'm so sorry, I'm not taking a pull. I'm just barely hanging on." I'm like,
Yeah, she's got to plan her sprint to get by her. Yeah.
But there's something strange about being in that moment when you know that you're helping somebody and
Yes.
greater things are coming up and you're trying to help them overtake somebody. You just summon this second energy that you didn't have before.
I absolutely felt
Yeah.
better. Like, okay, I know where I'm at in this race.
Yeah.
Now maybe I can help Sarah catch the leader.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Where's the leader?" She's like, "I think she's only a minute ahead of us." I'm like, "Let's go."
Hop on.
Yeah, so let me see if I can pull her up. We ended up not pulling her up. Actually, the winner was Rachel McBride, the professional triathlete from Bend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just did the gravel race for fun, and she won.
That's like a Bend thing
Yeah.
with any triathletes. They all seem to be getting into like mountain biking and gravel grinding.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
kind of
great
cool.
because
It's
they're
really
getting
cool.
some spectacular
That's why they're
bike
better
handling
cyclists.
skills.
Well, that's why they're better cyclists. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tried really hard to try to pull her back to Rachel McBride, and we
Yeah.
didn't quite pull it off.
If it makes you feeling better, that's one of the best like women
dude.
triathlete cyclists out
Yeah.
there. So yeah, she's got one of the best bike splits in America.
So I did way too much stuff this weekend, but
That's a great weekend, though.
it was really good. It was a great experience. I had a great time with my teammates. It was organized very well. It was I can't say enough about it.
Did you sleep in the van, or did you grab a hotel?
No, I slept in the van the first night.
Down by the river.
Yeah. The second night, Andy Levine has a house in Central Oregon, and he says, just come over and stay at our place. So I stayed with Andy the second night. Him and Whitney were staying there. So
Cool.
yeah, we all hang out.
Nice.
It was great.
It's cool. It's nice
a
to have
boys' weekend.
some team time too. Yeah,
It was so great.
such a good group.
Yeah.
How'd you feel this morning?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take? The weather's nice. Are you gonna take a day off?
I'm probably not going to take a day off.
PIR tonight?
I might do PIR. We'll have to.
You can go sit in and just do some work for somebody
Yeah.
and have a little bit of fun with it and just spin your legs.
I kind of want to do it because I'm leaving to be gone for like 2.5 weeks tomorrow, you
Yeah.
know? And so I'd kind of like to go do it.
Where are you going for 2.5 weeks again?
Just
San Diego, Moab.
This is so. Oh
San
my gosh.
Diego, Vegas, Monterey.
I've gone from formerly getting mad at Lance to now just being like so happy for him. But I'll go back to being mad at him roughly like probably in a month. But
Yeah,
Lance, you can ride with me this evening if you want to go easy.
that might be an option.
Doing beaches tonight,
I'm gonna
Matt?
go out towards some do some flat beaches stuff. So
Sweet.
Yeah, so I might do PR. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I'm tired and I'm drained, but I'm not ruined.
Yeah.
Which I was really nervous about because I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
ooh, oh, okay.
Cliffhanger.
I think I know where he's going with that. I like
Jake,
it.
do you have
I like it.
any back pedal for us, Jake?
I do. Real quick, I'll make this somewhat short. Last week, I went out to PIR and observed, watched my son do his first road race.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. He climbed on his bike, and I think I mentioned this before. It's a tiny bit too big for him, but we've got it set up to where he fits on it. He can steer and brake and pedal and all that other stuff, but he looks like Superman on it. It's kind of funny. But he did great. I mean, he made a couple of friends out there the week prior, went out this past week, and most of those kids and more were out there, and he went out and did his race and got it in, and we talked the whole way home about like just racing. It was so cool to have that conversation with him.
That's great.
So
That's
he,
so cool.
he debriefed me on everything that happened and the things that he wants to work on, and was asking questions about how he could do this, that, and the other. And his bike's been set up on the trainer, so he's able to come in and ride on Zwift to do his training and whatnot. And he's been doing like little interval sets so he can get faster. And
He's gonna be better than me in like the week after next.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna give him 2 more PIRs and he's gonna be faster than us.
he had a great week too. He did really well in both of his baseball games, and he's just it's fun watching your child grow up and become more mature and getting better at stuff, and especially watching them fall in love with stuff that you're passionate about.
And actually be like an active human being, which
Yes.
is so awesome.
Right,
Yes.
right.
So I'll tell you what, I can see the other side of that sometimes. And it's not pretty.
Yeah, I didn't get to stick around and watch all of PR last week, so I didn't really get a chance to take too many pictures. I did take some pictures, but I did get a chance to watch our juniors go out and race, and I think we had 11 or 12. I gotta go back and double check one more time of our own juniors on our team, just our team alone out there racing, which was I think probably double what all of the other teams brought out in total. So
That's amazing.
Our juniors category made up the vast majority of all of the juniors out there racing, which is cool. And I think tonight it's going to be even bigger. It's going to be fun to watch these kids right out there, and it's just a big sea of orange buzzing around the track. So,
And just for our other listeners that aren't necessarily from this area, PIR, when we say that, we're referring to like this racetrack in Portland, basically, that allows cycling races. It's really cool.
yeah, it's the Portland International Raceway, which Indy cars race on this thing, and it's like butter smooth, and it's got a couple turns in it. It's really quite fun to ride on, and it's fast. The last time I raced on it before, got hit by the car in the 1-2s. I actually think we averaged about 29 miles an hour for almost 30 miles.
Yeah.
So it's a fast course, which is kind of cool. So add to that, last week I had 3 medical appointments. That's eating into my time still, but it's it is what it is. A couple great rides with Matt. That was fun. It was just kind of cool. Matt and I were just out BSing and having fun and enjoying the sun and getting some vitamin D. We had a great team ride on Saturday. I think we had, almost 20 people show up.
Yeah.
And to those that didn't, that got scared away because there were some raindrops.
Yeah.
It was on you. You missed out, man. It was
it
it
did
was a lot
dry
of
out.
fun. It was a great climb. And then we did a climb in there called Larch Mountain. And there's a Larch Mountain Oregon side, and then there's Larch Mountain on the Washington side. I don't know what it is, why they couldn't come up with different names for them, but it is what
Doesn't
it
make
is.
any sense why it's
I think the true Larch Mountain is the one on the Oregon side, and the Washingtonians need to get together and rename this Larch. Anyhow, there's a segment on there from the base and going up Powell Road to start that. That probably doesn't mean anything to the people that don't live in this area, but it's a pitchy little climb. It's probably 5-ish minutes climb, and it's pretty steep. And then it gets to the top, flattens out just a touch more, and then you start climbing even more. The whole climb from the very bottom to the very top is about 5 miles. We went out there and we kind of got after it, and the roads were still a little bit wet. We were still all getting after it pretty good. Our young junior, Hayden Weirman, who is 15 years old.
He's 15.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought he was younger than you were expecting, Lance. Yeah.
His dad tells me that his FTP right now at 15,
It's unbelievable.
over 350.
What?
Yes.
There aren't...
He's like between
When are we gonna get him,
350
like,
and
on a G-
360. He
he's gotta
hasn't
start-
even been training that much recently, and that's what his FTP is right now. The kid is like, he's brilliant. He's a super smart, like very, very humble, very
Yes.
well mannered. You will not find a better
he's
mannered
awesome, yeah.
kid, and he's very
Goofy as heck
studious.
kid, and he's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
So he, I'm doing my best to try and keep up with them that initial POW climb, and I caught their wheels, and actually I think I came around them to finish the first POW section.
You did.
And
I was
then
watching you guys,
Then we
yeah.
hit the next section, and then he and Chris Hannell start to ride together, and I'm trying to hold their wheel, and it pitches up a little bit, and I'm like, yep, there they go.
Yeah.
And they just kept pulling away and pulling away and pulling away. Well, they motored all the way to the top of this thing, and at the very top, it's kind of a long story, but Chris Surratt was he was kind of already up there. He got ahead of us. That's neither here nor there. He was riding with us, but then he kind of did something else with Dustin, and they got ahead of us because we stopped and waited for some people. But Surratt was already up there. Well, they bridged up to Surratt, and Chris Handel passed Hayden off to him, and Hayden stayed on Surratt's wheel, and they went all the way to the very top, and Hayden missed the KOM by, what was it? It was just like 10 seconds.
He had to be right there.
It was like
He had
5
to
or
be
10
so
seconds.
close.
So let's talk about this KOM segment. It is like there are so many people that have favorited this one on Strava that are always going out and trying to attack it, and it's helped by a guy who goes by the name of Twinkie Fitzgerald. And evidently, he's a former pro
He's
or
gotta
pro
be.
or something
He
like that.
has to
He's
be, yeah.
super strong guy, and Hayden just missed him. Granted, he had a little bit of help, but still, it's all climbing. So I mean, how much drafting are you
There's
going to
not
get
a lot
going?
of draft. I mean, you're going 10 miles an hour for a good portion of that.
Well, there is a top section at the very top that is a little bit flat.
It does-
so you
it does
can,
flatten out
yeah,
for a
you
bit,
can get
yeah.
a little bit of help there, but what an
it's
effort
15.
by a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That was spectacular. But I don't want to miss this part. Later on that day, one of our teammates, Mike Guyvan, was supposed to ride with us that morning, and then he had something come up with the family. He sent me a text. He's like, "Man, I'm so bummed I can't make it. I'll try and go out and ride later on." He went out there, and he attacked that climb.
Did he take the KOM? Because I was
The
looking at
KOM
that. That's
by
what I
almost,
thought.
I was like 20 plus seconds. He beat that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All by himself.
All by himself. That KOM has stood since May of 2010.
Somebody just give him his
my
2.
gosh.
He's
Yes.
Guy Van needs to be racing Cat 2
9
like
years?
tomorrow.
Yes. So many people have attacked that. Like I've tried, I think like once I was like mid-ride or something like that. And I'm like, I'll go up here and I'm like, I'll see what kind of time I
Yeah.
get. I've never really truly given it like the full like race. Like let's go try and get after this thing.
Yeah.
But Mike Guyvan went out there and he got it done. It was unreal how much effort he put into that.
How is it? I'd be terrified if I'm racing 4.5s against him.
30,
doesn't even make
38
sense.
seconds.
38 seconds.
Can we just
Okay.
turn that in for his upgrade to 2? Just like throw that in and be like, yeah, okay, go
Yeah.
ahead and give him it. Yeah.
Super
He
strong.
did
kid.
win PIR last Monday.
Oh, of course he did.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he wants to, he could win any PIR.
Yeah, he's got that nice combination of the right body weight with the ability to generate quite a few watts. His FTP's in the 350s, if not close to 360 as well. If
Oh,
I'm
he's
not
got to be
mistaken.
360, 370
So-
if he's flying up that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think he only weighs like 160 pounds, so he's
Yeah.
strong and relatively light. So he's
Yeah.
one of those guys that you should be afraid of in any kind of a road
We'd
race.
have a terrifying group ride up large. Like if we got everybody on the team to just like absolutely race up large.
Yeah. Well, when that ride was shaping up, there was like Mike Guyvan was supposed to be there.
Yeah. Jordan supposed to be there?
Jordan was not.
Okay.
Who was it? Rodrigo Colon was supposed to be there. He didn't show up. Jay Small was supposed to be there. They didn't show up. So, I mean, that's some horsepower there that didn't show up to that ride. And we still, had a good group. But, man, if all those guys showed up and we're all hammering up that thing, we would have all just turned ourselves inside out. So.
And that was the crazy thing with Hayden, too, to begin that is there was a point where the group kind of split up. I forget where it was at one point, but there was you were up there with 4 or 5 guys, and then Hayden and me were back a bit.
Yep.
And I know like Hayden really got in front of me. I was like, okay, he just wants to bridge the gap right now. And then I got in front of him, and good God, we took 2 pulls between each other and bridged what was probably a 20-30 second gap, but right before the PAL climb started.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I don't have a power meter, but just in my head, I'm thinking, I was like, holy heck, Hayden just put out like a
Right.
a minute and a half, 400 watt effort right there. Like it was nothing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, good God.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, we're just comparing some notes here off the mics, but that was a fun ride, and I got a great workout, so I was happy to get that, and it was the exact training effect that I wanted. I wanted to be gassed, and I wanted to have a couple strong efforts in there, and felt good.
I knew that was going to be hard going up that, but I knew I had to ride 90, 100 miles that day. That was so awesome riding with you guys, because I would not have put in an effort like that at mile 30 of that ride if that was not for chasing Jake and crew up that climb.
Yeah. So Sunday had another beautiful ride. It was just, the weather right now is just incredible. I mean, you cannot dial up nicer weather and more beautiful scenery. So I went out and chased the Martins around, and as I put my Strava title, I was just pretending to be a Martin yesterday. So yeah, it was a good week. And one other quick note for the people that aren't here local that aren't going to know this really, but there's the Washougal Triple Crown. Jordan took that yesterday from Chris Hannell. So,
did he take that? I love that Triple Crown ride.
That's a good little
that is
workout. I think it's 27 miles.
I think so.
Is that what it is? Something like that.
It's roughly an hour and a half, ish, hour 15, hour and a half.
Yeah, I think the KOM is about 120, an hour and 20.
Okay, yeah.
Give or take a minute or two or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that fell yesterday. So it's changed hands 3 or 4 times in the past year, but that's another good one to go get after if you're over in the Camas Washougal area. Look it up.
Dustin and I will be trying to challenge that. I'm not sure if we're going to take that from Jordan ever, but that's that's going to be brutal to get.
Yeah,
an hour and 19 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And he got it by 3 seconds.
Oh
my gosh.
An hour and 20-minute ride by 3 seconds.
By
Cool.
3 seconds.
Yeah,
that could have been a carpool at some point.
I haven't had a chance to look it on Strava, but I talked to Jordan after the ride. He came over and he looked a little disheveled. He was he looked like he put a good effort in on that ride. So he stopped by to say hi. Fun times.
Jake, did you do any motor pacing this past week? Our listeners that listen to our podcast last
I would
week.
never chase a middle-aged woman on a scooter on McGilvery. I would never do something like that. Or did I?
We were
Wait a minute.
we were sprinting
Let's tell
after
this.
her, and she was like, I was like, how fast can this thing go? And she was like, and I was like, what? She was like, 40. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty fast. It was this tiny little red scooter. We had fun.
She was sitting there perfect posture. She's got her elbows tucked in. She's got her little helmet on, and she's like do 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 on her little scooter. and I go, hey Matt, that's a perfect motor pace right there. And she would not go a mile an hour over the speed limit. And I sprinted up to her and just sat on her wheel.
I was like, wait a minute,
Matt, look at me.
didn't we just do a podcast talking about motor pacing?
Don't do it. Yeah.
Jake takes the McGillery and KOM.
I think I already had that one, but yeah, that was funny. All right, our topic today: the hot seat.
The hot seat.
The hot seat.
I was so hoping we were going to use that effect at some point during this time.
Evan, start us off with the hot seat, buddy.
Okay, so
maybe we should just remind people exactly what the hot seat is. Basically, we all bring a question to the table.
Then you light a seat on fire.
Exactly.
And then you sit on it.
Exactly. And we have not talked to each other about any of our questions, so this is all kind of raw emotion, raw feedback, and all that fun stuff. So we're gonna start with Evan, and what you got, bud?
So I've got 2, but the first one's going to be very short, and I want your first instinct.
Sure.
Okay. And I don't want this to be any pressure, but I just think it's interesting if we were to talk about this for a second. We had already talked about Hayden. In the next 5 years, what do you see happening with Hayden Weirman? Ability-wise.
Oh, geez.
Assuming he continues to have a blast with the sport, which he seems to be having.
Given that he can actually multitask pretty well and he can get by and get stronger without having like to maintain massive, huge like training loads, I think he's got a bit of. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's going to turn pro because that's a pretty tough feat, but I think that he's going to find himself racing collegiately at a pretty high level. I think that he's going to be one of those kids, but on the outside, gosh, he could win a national championship. So there's that little kid. Is it Ian down in Bend?
Ian Brown.
Ian Brown.
Yep.
That's going to be a tough kid to beat, but I think Hayden, he has beaten Ian before at some of the local cross races here. But it's going to be fun to watch those two duke it out because they're both going to be super fast on a national level. I don't know where that takes him, though. I mean, he'll race at the elite level eventually. He's got that capacity. So, I don't know. That'd be cool.
Matt?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know him as well as you guys do, so I haven't biked with him.
Yeah.
He's a bigger
strong.
kid.
I'll ruin it for you. He's strong. Yeah.
He's a bigger kid. He's over 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
And he's
a lot bigger than I am. Yeah.
He still needs to. He's like the puppy with the big paws. You know what I mean? He still needs to kind of grow into himself. He needs to develop some of that, for lack of a better term, man strength. You know, he just needs to like develop that way. But I don't want him to get super strong. You know, his dad is super strong and he's got a big motor as well.
Yeah.
If we can keep him lean and strong and fast and fit, he's gonna do good things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. This is the cool thing about the high schooler. Like looking at the high school crop coming through is like, this is the time when you can actually talk about these kids' potential. Because, I mean, for cycling to be a competitive sport, it's like, okay, look at what their potential is at 15, 16 and really develop them. And he's the one you can look at and be like, oh my God, he's got this raw power already.
I raced him a dozen times last year, and the only times I beat him is when his shoe broke or he got
something bad happened. Yeah.
And just like a year and a half ago, whenever it was before I got injured, like I could handily beat him.
Yeah.
At just about anything. And if he's having a good day, he'll keep up with me or just nip me. He'll crush me at everything now.
Yeah.
That's how much he's changed now. Where does that keep going? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. And the kid, if he had the time to fully like dedicate himself to training, my God, the potential there is just,
that would be crazy.
But he would set all of that aside because education for him is more important, rightfully so, because he's going to do good things for himself.
And I think that'll pay off in the long term, honestly. I think if he's able to be this fast with these low of training loads, I think he's going to be a kid that continues to enjoy the sport. And he's going to be a kid that does not get burnt out. Because I think you see that in a lot of the young people getting into professional cycling is they really burn out on the sport at a young age.
Or their life is all one-dimensional.
Yeah, it becomes very one-dimensional. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
All right. The second one real quick. So Giro is coming up in 2 weeks, I think. Week and a half. I need to see. It's an early May start, I believe. Is Lance looking that up for me right now?
Let me see.
So I've got a little cheat sheet for us on who are possibly going to be the favorites coming in. Now this always changes and adjusts because you never know somebody will crash coming in. You know, somebody will crash on a training ride coming up, or there'll be adjustments to teams last second. But the big name coming in is going to be Dumoulin. It's Tom.
Yeah,
12 days.
12 days away.
May 11th.
I was close with 10. May 11th. Okay. So the other big names coming are going to be Mikel Landa for Movistar, and Nibali for Bahrain, Zakarin for Katusha, and then you got some other names near Simon Yates, Michael Woods, and Roglic. Now, if you guys remember, Roglic was the one who really had his big coming out party in the Tour. He's the guy who was the former downhill skier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you guys remember the real young former downhill skier.
It was like a ski jumper.
Ski jumper, my bad. Yeah, just ski jumper. He wasn't even a downhill skier. He was a ski jumper. Yeah. Who really has only been riding bikes for like
3 years
or
something.
Mean, talk about young potential. This guy's like the definition of it. But there are a lot of really exciting names here, which I think is cool because each team has somebody that's capable of winning, which I think really makes this exciting because it's going to be a really widespread out race, I think. And you got a lot of guys who are capable of like making moves on any day, which makes it so much more exciting, in my opinion, than the Tour. Because the Tour can be so calculated. The Giro is more just it's Italian, you know, it's not well thought through and emotional. So there you go. But yeah, okay. So hot seat. Who you got?
It's I feel like Tom Dumoulin's one of those guys that like if he's on, he'll win. Like I think he's just the class of the field, but I don't know. I mean,
is he keying in on the race though, or is he saving himself for the?
Is he doing?
I was trying to look up some interviews on that. I think he's kind of mum on it, but I would imagine he's going for the Giro.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's a guy who wants a double though, so he's going to be in two Grand Tours this year.
If you think about it, he did the best last year of anyone, right?
He did, yeah.
I don't know, so I'll pick him. I don't know. I don't know.
It's a good pick either way. It's not a bad pick, yeah.
I'm trying to think of if there's some sort of kind of like secret outsider pick, that'd be fun, but
yeah,
I don't know. We'll think about it.
I'm gonna go with Nibali. He won it in 2013.
Yep.
2016. Okay. He's due again 2019 every 3 years.
That's actually true. Every 3 years, it makes sense.
And dude's just strong. He's that's his race.
He's cagey. He descends well. He's the guy who on weird stages he'll be in the last group. Lance,
I'm going with Egan Bernal.
Oh, I like
that's
that.
a good one too.
I like that pick a lot.
The Team Sky
yes,
rider.
Team Sky.
Team Sky has done nothing through the classics, the spring classics, and I'm thinking that they are kind of gauging towards these Grand Tours and not so much the classics.
They're going to try and win all three. Yeah.
And so I think if their team is strong, I think Egan Bernal is going to.
Do you think they're going to throw him that bone just because they're going to probably focus on
somebody else for the tour?
Yeah. That's actually really, really good. Good call.
Yeah.
So just because of how pitchy and up and down the Giro is always by nature, I'm going with three guys for my podium that nobody has mentioned so far. I think all the favorites are going to blow up.
Okay.
I think the three guys who are young, exciting, and have shown major potential in 2018 were Michael Woods, Simon Yates, and Roglic.
Okay.
Now, Michael Woods isn't that young, but he's now recently really came into form, the Canadian last season. I really do think... Now, Michael Woods last year, I forget what stage it was, but he had that stage where he had the potential to win it and didn't take any nutrition in the last 20 miles, but it showed that he was able to drop Tom Dumoulin in a very crucial part of the race. So I'm going to go with, I want to say Michael Woods is going to win. I'm just going to say Michael Woods will win, and in some order, Simon Yates and Roglic will be on the podium behind him.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm going with all the young guys, which
possible.
means...
Who would you like to see? Do you think, Yates, do you guys all kind of...
Oh, I love Yates. I love all three of those guys. Any three. Michael Woods is a really cool guy, too. Yeah.
I love the Roglic story.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I'm a ski guy, and I'm a skier, and I'm not even a endurance skier. I'm a ski jumper, and I'm done with that. I'm gonna try cycling. Oh wait, I'm really good at cycling. I start beating all these tour riders. That's just like...
Is Valverde riding? I feel like he raced well in the classics this year.
Except for he abandoned.
Oh, did he? Okay.
This last one.
Amstel did. Oh no, Liège he did.
Yeah,
he wasn't in the final selection at Amstel Gold either.
No.
Yeah.
So he did not have a good classics season.
Okay, so you don't think he's racing this one? He's not on. He hasn't been on any of the lists or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So we'll see though. But like I said, the next 10 days, probably guys in interviews will come out with what they're actually looking to really focus on this year. So we'll see. We will see. Really, I think the favorite going in has got to be Dumoulin and Bernal, though. I mean, anybody who Sky puts out is going to be your favorite, and it's going to be the Sky Show versus Dumoulin. And my hope is that they beat the heck out of each other, and these young guys slip through the cracks. So
that could happen.
All right, that's a good one, Evan. I like it. Thank you, Lance.
All right, hot seat. I need tips for multi-stage race recovery. This 3-day race that I just did really beat me up, and it was 2 really hard stages. But I'm doing the Oregon Trail gravel grinder, which is in the middle of June or near the end of June, and it's 5 days, and all 5 days are over 4,000 or 5,000 feet of climbing, 60 or 70 or 80 miles. It's going to be 5 difficult days. How should I be recovering? Because I just feel like mush today, and it was only 2 days.
Let's look at the basics. The obvious questions first. How was your rest and your sleep?
I didn't sleep great.
Okay.
But and I didn't taper going to this at all.
Okay.
This weekend I rode pretty hard all week.
So when you say I didn't sleep great, what's normal and what were you getting?
A good night for me is like 8.5 or 9 hours.
Wow.
And
You were getting like 6 or 7.
I was
maybe?
getting like 5 or 6.
Oh, that's a big drop off.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
And
I
you
didn't sleep that great.
didn't taper going into this at all.
I did not taper going into it.
And
That's
you
your
went
first
and rode
answer.
the Phil's Trail system, like the day of your time trial start.
Yeah, it was too much fun, man.
You raced a
I'm in
PIR
pain.
earlier that week.
I did not. If you recall,
Oh, that's right. You did miss that one.
I had planned to go to PR. This was last week when we recorded the podcast. I was going to go race that night.
Thank God you missed it.
I got home and I was just like exhausted, and so I went to bed at like 8:30.
Wow.
Good for you.
I actually chose not to go do a race, and I went to sleep instead.
So I'm going to give a super biased answer to this, but I know the man sitting across the table from me and probably to my right will agree with me. You're doing hard gravel races. So this is not just, and I'm not going to say that road cyclists don't need this too, but you're talking about a real full body sort of workout.
Yes.
I mean, a real full body sort of workout. So really what you need to start doing is in between these races, Lance, is really making like maintenance, motor patterns, sort of muscle activation, stretching, recovery. Definitely start training some of those stabilizers that you don't get on the bike if you're biking 20 hours a week. Like we always joke with cyclists, there's no lateral movement for a cyclist until you're in a gravel grinding race, and then there actually is. Because when you're out of the saddle and have to whip that bike side to side, you're having to really stabilize it.
Yeah.
And you can just ask Jake's shoulder on how that feels. I mean, really, like that's what...
It's not quite as bad as a mountain bike race, like a long cross-country race, but you're still getting a lot of input from that bike, and you're having to use your body a lot more than you would just being out on your
There's no
on your road bike.
suspension on my gravel bike.
No.
So, yeah.
You're just relying on those 40 mil tires if
Yeah.
that's what you're riding that day to give you a little bit of suppleness to the ride characteristics of the bike on these crazy terrains. So you're having to stabilize and use a lot of other stuff that you're not necessarily using. So a strength training program would suit you well.
And it can be pretty truncated because
Yeah.
I know that your joy comes from cycling, obviously. So it can be a truncated 10, 15-minute thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure I need to do that.
Here's my top 3 for you. Sleep. Make it a priority.
Number 1.
I think you should consider like taking like a recovery drink like directly after your race.
I usually try to drink
event.
some kind of protein drink.
Yeah.
Like almost immediately after being done.
Do that. Consider like what food you can get in, also not necessarily just like a protein drink, but like maybe, you can find some sort of like chicken salad or something like that you're, because it's hard because if you're out and you're going out to restaurants and stuff like that, like that's all part of the process. You end up with like junk food and stuff like that. I don't know. But last one would be trying to get your legs up as much as possible in between races. So I don't know if you can do that.
After the second hard stage, that's all I did that evening.
Yeah.
We were at Andy's house, and I was on my back with my legs in the air.
I think you're doing good stuff. I mean, it's just it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
I think I need to do better on the. I need to do better on the stretching and the protein right after. I think I need to do better.
It's more than just the protein too. You need to top off all those glycogen stores. You need to get your body ready to do battle again. So you got to give it all the building blocks, not just the protein.
Yeah.
Evan, what's your two? We've talked about this before. Maybe you can
Yeah.
remind us again what your 2 cents is on those the E-stem units that a lot of cyclists use for recovery purposes. Do you think that would be something that would be beneficial for him, or is
here's usually what I tell people with that. So I'll put the E-stem units kind of next to the like the Normatec legs that people are using. This is where the goal of the E-stem is a couple things. Like when you think about blood flow or any sort of like lymphatic system work. So when we're talking about the venous system and lymphatic system is basically taking all that. I mean, we've all seen pictures of like George Hincapie's legs after big races. You guys seen those varicose veins sort of things? Now, basically just getting your legs up is fine. I mean, get your legs up, let gravity help you out. But what that shows is there's an incredible amount of byproduct from the muscular work that is sitting in your legs at that point. Like just sitting there. It's basically stasis. And years and years of that and some genetic predisposition, you can get some varicose veins.
Yeah.
Now, just because you're not getting varicose veins does not mean that byproduct is not sitting there causing an acidic environment in your legs. Legs do not recover well in an acidic environment. So the goal of eStim, at least from my opinion, is basically returning a lot of that byproduct back into the blood flow system. So that can be done through compression too. It can be done through the Normatec legs. It can be done by laying in a van with your legs up above your head.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the pros do stuff for reasons, and a lot of them use the eStim units, and I think they're great. Yeah.
So another thing would be massage.
Yes,
But my thought process is Lance isn't going to have access to a massage therapist out in the middle of nowhere.
No.
Maybe
My wife
having
is
one
going to be with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But here's the thing with the massage too, that I've even sometimes now I've never been in a pro, hotel room. I have no idea what those massages look like.
Don't look in the refrigerators
Or hanging above the
Or
little
the
head
freezer.
above them. Yeah.
in the coolers. Yeah, don't touch the coolers. But I think you got to be really careful with a massage after, because if you're going anything deep tissue, you're just creating more muscular damage at that
muscular
point.
damage.
You want a lymphatic flow sort of massage, which I'm sure your experienced massage therapists are doing there very well. But yeah, your goal is basically to create as much blood flow out of those legs as you can.
Okay.
Yeah. This is why people go on recovery spin. I mean, this is why the pros, as soon as they're done, they just climbed Mount Ventoux. What's the first thing those guys are doing in their interviews? They're spinning on a bicycle.
Right.
Because that's muscular contractions to get that blood flow, all that byproduct back out of the system.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. That's good stuff right there.
That's not a bad idea.
Okay, next quick question. If my nose is raw, can you guys see this?
We can't see, but
You look sunburnt.
right at the bridge of my nose where my mustache
yeah.
would be, it is all raw from wiping snot away and all the dust and grime and everything. And this was only 3
Got
days.
Aquaphor that. Just got to get some Aquaphor on there.
So Jake just took a photo that I'm sure he'll post to the Dialed Podcast Instagram page.
we can Photoshop and
Zoom
make
in.
it look,
No, zoom in on my nose. You see the little red spot right underneath my nose. How do I avoid that?
Aquaphor.
I tried to use gloves that have a nice spot to wipe my nose with, but I'm like a snotty guy when I'm riding out there. I have an enormous amount of snot.
What about instead of wiping, do a snot rocket?
I do hundreds of snot rockets while I'm riding.
Your teammates love you.
But I don't want the drip of snot hanging on the end of my nose, so I always wipe it off, and I'm guessing I wipe too vigorously.
I was thinking that maybe you could put some Vaseline on ahead of time, but that's just going to collect all kinds of dirt and dust and just be a disgusting booger in itself.
It'll be gone in 10 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there something that you could put on ahead of time to keep that from getting that abrasion in there? I don't know.
I didn't even think about it, and then I wake up this morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally raw. I can't even feel it. But anyway.
Put some Neosport on it. It'll heal up quickly. And
I'm already there.
Didn't you ever use Glide and Aquaphor and stuff back in your
Not on my
triathlon
face.
days?
Yeah, but
Well, it's time to start shifting it up
when
towards
you're,
your face.
when you're riding in these gravel grinders, all the dust is getting kicked
Oh,
up.
that's
I mean,
true.
all that's going to
That
do
would
is
be really funny. It's just
Yeah,
all
it's
going to
just big old-
collect there.
it's got a big old mud pie underneath his nose.
Yep.
Well, just a little, just put it right at the bridge there. Just hide it, right underneath
I
there.
might have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking, can we
Grow a
cut some
mustache.
tape or something like that? Put it on there.
You just need to grow a mustache. That's the answer to this question.
Oh man.
I need to wear.
We should take a poll.
the-
We should take a
those
poll on our
Breathe Right
YouTube.
strips.
Is
breathe right strips
Yeah.
so I can blow proper snot rockets. I guess.
There you go.
you
Think
need,
of
you
the
need to be,
range with a Breathe Right strip. You could really blow a
he,
killer
he
snot
needs to
rocket.
become an actual cyclist here and grow a mustache and shave his legs. So he needs to take all that hair from his legs and just put it up on his mustache.
All right. Anything else from you, Lance?
No, that's too much.
All right.
No, that's about it.
Matt, do you have a hot seat question for us?
I have a couple options here. Let me just roll through one that's real quick, and then maybe if we have time,
We've
keep
got
looking.
time. Bring them both.
Okay, so what other pieces? We talked about Strava a lot on our last podcast. It was 2-hour long podcast, very long podcast.
And we didn't even. We had more to talk about too.
my
if you
gosh.
had to,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, we could have kept on going.
What other software do you guys like? Does anything come to mind? And the answer can be no.
What software? No, I'm joking.
What software? Broken Millennial.
Yeah, I saw that Lance Armstrong this morning. I follow him on Strava. He said, this is going to be my last post on Strava.
Wow.
What?
I'm moving over to Map My Ride.
what?
They're paying him to
I-
do that.
Map
think
my
they're-
ride.
I think they're
Map
sponsoring-
my ride. What?
I think they're sponsoring his podcast, and so he's moving over to Map My Ride. Now, I've never...
Yeah.
I use Ride with GPS to find courses,
Right.
but I download them into my Garmin so I can follow it on, my Garmin. I don't use those regularly at all.
That's just a paycheck to get his mouth to
That's what I thought.
say the words "map my rad."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think anybody can hold a candle to Strava for what it is they're doing. But
Right.
in terms of analytics and basically deciphering all that stuff and getting a good sense for it, I do use the Garmin Connect.
That's what I was going to say.
That's
Garmin
another
Connect is good.
decent one. I think that you get better numbers from that, and it seems to be more in line with what I actually see on my Garmin unit, which would kind of make sense. I don't know why, but you go into Strava and the numbers are never the same as what you find in Garmin Connect. And Garmin Connect is always exactly what I
I've
see
heard that
while,
from people lately.
while
I
I'm
don't know
riding.
why.
So I don't know. Strava's more of like Facebook, and Garmin's more of a Training Peaks light, if you will.
Yeah.
So
Training Peak's another one that is a good tool. Garmin just came out. They just released an app called Garmin Connect IQ where you can download. It helps you manage Connect IQ apps on your devices. That might be something. And I think they just released that like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It's fairly new, and I heard it's good. So
good. I have to check that out.
I played with it, but I haven't really spent a ton of time with it. But yeah, that would be for things like you want some different data fields or you want a slightly different app on your device. You can find some stuff there from different developers and stuff.
Here's a question for you guys. Have any of you used the Wahoo Element series? Kind of like the Garmin Edge head units, but then there's the Wahoo's counterpart to
I
that.
have not.
Yeah.
No.
I actually have. Whenever I'm on somebody else's trainer, I'll bring up my Wahoo Element. Yeah.
So you own a Wahoo Element?
Oh no! Wait, it's like the Wahoo Fitness app. Is
That's
that
an
what we're
app.
referencing?
I'm talking about their actual like head
Computer.
unit, the little computer.
No, I do not have that.
There are a lot of people that are starting to pick those up, and a lot of people on our team
Yeah.
are getting them through our little deal with Wahoo, and
They're
they
good,
seem to
yeah.
like them. And they say it's easier to set up because you actually set it up on your phone, and then if the phone speaks to the head unit, and that's what you're seeing. You can't go in there and really adjust all the data fields and screens and all that stuff, but they do say that the mapping technologies in there are not nearly as good as Garmin, but everything else they tend to enjoy quite more. I haven't used one yet. I've only kind of like taken it out of the box and played with it for a minute, but just curious if you guys had any input on those.
Yeah, I think it's tough, right? Because Garmin's the huge gorilla in the room for sure, and they had, if they slip up, it's a perfect opportunity for a company like Wahoo to come in there with a product that's good, that works, that's functional. When you have a product like the 820 that can't handle being rained on, then that's a problem.
Seriously.
But now I think Garmin, they just released another two set of computers. They released the 530 and the 830, and I think those are going to be solid enough that for me it looks to me like that's what I would still recommend for people. But definitely I think the people that I've talked to that have the Wahoo Element, there's two of them. I think there's like a smaller one and a slightly bigger one. People love those computers. So really good feedback.
Yeah, I have a new 530 on order, so when that comes in, we'll play with it and get back to you. And I'll get my hands on the 830 as well, and we'll go throw it in the shower and see what it does under water conditions, because the 820 was a turd.
It was horrible, or it is horrible. It's on my bike. It's on our bike.
It's still on. Yeah.
But
Still
here's
on
what I've
my
heard.
bike,
Here's what I've heard. When they went through the manufacturing process, some of the touchscreens are horrible and some of them aren't. And so yours might be great, and mine might be horrible.
Mine's
and
okay until there's sweat on it.
Right. I can't sweat on mine, or if it's raining, you can't bike in the rain because
No.
It's
I
not
just
like,
leave mine on one screen whenever it's raining out.
But here's the thing: the rain is changing my screens constantly.
Oh, is it on yours?
Yeah.
That doesn't really do it on mine.
And even sweat and things like that will actually select a data screen and start changing the data.
Yeah.
I hate that.
This is why I actually take mine off the bike and I put it on a table next to me when I'm on the trainer, so I'm not actually sweating on it. I can just peek over at it and look, so I'm not actively sweating.
I had
on
the same problems, and I ended up selling it to a friend down in Southern California who rides when it's only sunny out, and it's always sunny down there anyway.
Yeah.
So
he
it
loves
works great
it.
for him.
Zero problems with him, so it was a win-win.
Yeah, that works.
What are some? Do you have any programs that you wanted to enlighten us with, or you just kind of curious?
I was curious just because we spent a lot of time talking about Strava. And, Garmin did release that new Connect IQ app, which I thought was interesting. And I think Garmin's own app is okay. They have some different things, like you can challenge friends and things like that. So I think their app is pretty good. And I do think that they're interested in kind of like at least taking a little bit of the piece of the pie from Strava. They have Garmin routes and things like that. And I think that they have basically like segments on the Garmin side.
They've had that for a while. nobody uses
No
it.
one uses it.
Yeah,
No
I
one
don't-
cares.
Like
Strava's king
Yeah.
for segment riding.
you can
if we're talking
connect
about
with
that,
friends
yeah.
on there, and I think you can even give them thumbs up. I think I'm connected to maybe 5 or 6 people, and like
Yeah.
half of them are sitting at this table. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't ever go in there. I don't look at that. The only
Yeah.
time I go into that app is to go look at my own numbers from
Right.
a particular ride, and that's it. It really is. So it's going to be tough to throw in Strava. I mean, you're going to have to come up with something that's pretty cool.
But I don't think that they should necessarily try to dethrone Strava. I think they should try to do something different as opposed to copying Strava, right? Like, don't
It's
just
gonna
try and
have to
do
be different,
Don't
yeah.
just try and do segments because Strava's got that, solid, and they're doing a good job with that. It's just like, but yeah, if you want to take a deep dive into the
Yeah,
metrics,
it would be
that's-
cool to see
that's great.
something like a Strava purchase Training Peaks, and have like some like integration
Yeah.
of the two entities, so that you can really let the people that are very like centric on their metrics jump into that stuff, and then you still have the social component of it, and you still have the imagery
Yeah.
component of it. I mean,
Training Peaks is probably a good purchase for someone because it ticks a lot of the boxes.
it does,
You know.
yeah.
As far as like planning for stuff, kind of coaching
Yeah.
those elements and stuff like
You
that.
know, in the beginning, though, I think for some people that might be a little daunting or a little like, oh my gosh, should I get myself in over my head here? But once you take some time and actually start to like take bites out of it, it's something that's very usable.
Yeah. I used Training Peaks for a season. I liked it.
Yeah.
And if I can use it and like it, it's a pretty good product.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's true.
Are you
That means
act-
anybody can
Are you
use it.
using Training Peaks right now?
I
Matt?
am. I'm not. I'm using the basic account, which is free, and it's great because it tallies up all my hours and stuff like that. I wish I could use the premium so I could plan a little bit more.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's good. I think I don't rely on it. Like if I didn't have that anymore, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I use, because a lot of times I'll look at Strava to get an idea of like how my week was, but more likely I'll look at Training Peaks to kind of see how my week is going.
Gotcha.
So,
Especially
yeah.
during the bigger weeks.
Yeah,
We
exactly. When
manage
I'm
that.
trying to hit certain hours and things like that.
Good. What was your other question?
Second question. What are your thoughts of staying indoors, sitting on the kicker, staying on the trainer when the weather is turning sunny and nice as it is currently in our atmosphere?
Fool's gold doing that.
Cardinal sin.
Lance, what do you think? What do you think?
I think it's a terrible idea. Get outside.
Yeah, Sunday I hopped on the trainer for an hour before going outside to do a bike ride. And a lot of that was just like logistics with kids and stuff like that. But we were talking about Matt Russell, who is a professional triathlete. He lives in Florida, where I hear they have decent weather there.
It's pretty sunny there usually.
It's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
He trains, I think, 100% indoors.
He's a lot indoors. There's a lot of guys who are a lot indoors in the triathlon world.
Yeah.
It's just a different sport, and that's kind of what I think that this is the biggest difference between cycling and triathlon. Triathlon is all about specificity of training, and cycling is all about variability in your cycling training, and that's
Yeah. I'm inside and I'm just miserable holding 100 watts, and then I go outside and I'm sprinting around, and it's like three. It's like
once this time of year hits for me, I will do my hard rides. I'll grab a road bike and do group rides for my hard rides.
Yeah.
I don't even plan a hard ride. I'll just go and be like, okay, today's the DCT ride. I know that means that we're going to be pulling hard at sometimes, and we're going to be trying to drop people all the time. So to me, I was like, there's my hard ride for the week. If I need what's funny for me is if I need a recovery ride, I will stay on the trainer. Because if I go outside, I'll want to go fast. I don't like going slow when it's nice outside.
Right.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Whenever people tell me like, "Oh, come outside for a spin," I'm like, "No, not gonna do it because we're gonna go outside and I'm gonna want to start
I'm
hammering."
like the
at some
Labrador
point.
that like you see a tennis ball, you chase it.
Yeah.
You see a bunny
Yeah.
rabbit, you go chase it. You see a car, you go chase it.
Yeah.
And
You're telling me when
supposed
the
to be on
road
recovery.
goes up,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to go fast up that? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm not going to try to, at least hit a couple of those Strava segments once you get out there. So
Or the day of your time trial going mountain biking because the
there you go.
trails are just awesome.
Exactly. And that's like, I think everybody should be getting outside in this weather and doing group rides, regardless of who you are. I don't care who you are, you should be. And, we look at guys like Lionel Sanders and Matt Russell.
Yeah.
They're great cyclists in the sport. They truly are. Like, they are great. But let's look at two otherworldly cyclists, Andrew Starkwitz and Cam Wurf.
Yeah.
How does Cam Wurf train?
Outside.
He trains with Sky.
Yeah.
Talk
That
about a
helps.
guy who goes on good group rides.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know much about the Sky. I've never been on a Sky group ride, but I'd imagine that they're pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm sure they're very specific.
They are. And he's out there hammering on his road bike for he's training like a cyclist. So you want to get faster on the bike, train like a cyclist is usually what I tell people.
Yeah. The only time you'll find me riding inside when it's nice outside is when I've got to be at home with my kids,
Yep.
or if I'm hurt. And
Yeah.
I unfortunately had to go through that
Both
quite
of
a
those
bit.
have happened in the last.
Otherwise, it's outside or die.
Yeah.
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 How about you, Matt? Obviously, we kind of know what you ran into yesterday.
Yeah, no,
But-
no, no. I mean, I think I'm thinking like, yes, when the weather is this nice, it's really hard not to go out and ride outside, but sometimes it's convenient to hop on indoors. Everything,
Oh, it's
a lot
very
of times,
convenient,
a lot of times it's all set up and ready to go for me. And so I'll probably continue to do some sort of mix of both.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that my numbers are so much better outdoors. It's just it's night and day, and I'm worried that I'm not getting any training effect doing a lot of the indoor stuff that I'm doing. And maybe I just need to have like very specific workouts when I'm indoors. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's when you're outdoors, and we can get into this debate, but the way that the bike moves with you it does increase power, and the bike does not move that way underneath you on a trainer. There's no side-to-side rock of the bike, and there's also no. Think what you're doing when you're going out of a climb. When you're going up a climb, you're rocking the bike side to side. When you rock that bike side to side, as that foot comes down, it's coming down at a much better angle than if you're sitting in the aero position on the trainer. So you're not going to be getting the same sort of power output.
And there's something to be said, too. When you're riding indoors, the second you start asking yourself the question of, is this almost done yet? Or, oh, my gosh, do I really have to ride this for 20 more minutes?
Yeah.
You're just not going to be pushing it the same effort.
No.
And all you have to do is step off. You don't have to ride the 15 miles home.
You're like, I have to get home somehow.
I have to get home. So.
That's why I love out and bike, out and back routes.
An advantage to the distraction that you get when you're outside and you're having constant input. Time just goes
Time
by.
flies.
Yeah,
It does.
Yep.
The time vortex.
Jake, do you have a hot seat question for us?
I do. Is cycling the toughest sport in the world?
No. Triathlon.
And let's talk about like racing professionally or whatnot.
Are we talking endurance sports here? Or are we
Just-
talking sport?
just sport?
So I'm gonna say yes, cycling is the hardest professional sport. There's a specific reason for this. Now, like on a race to day basis, I mean, you watch some of these guys cross the finish line at Ironmans, like, that effort was unreal for the body. How many times are they doing that in a year though?
Yeah, once.
Like
Max.
3 times.
The pros,
if they're doing
the
pro
pros,
Ironmans, usually those guys are only doing 3 fulls in a year. I mean, you had some crazy stories like Cam Worf did 5 last year or something crazy like that. But so we're all biased at this table, but I do truly believe when we're talking about the difficulty of a sport, I'm not talking about the skill aspect of it. It's what the body has to produce. I think cycling is far and away. Marathoning is close. I think what Eliud Kipchoge and the Eastern Africans have to train through is pretty incredible load on the body. But when we're talking about a cycling
Did you see
professional
that he ran
season,
202 yesterday?
incredible.
Yeah.
That was billed as like the battle between Mo and Elliott. It's like, let's get out of here, everybody. It is Elliott versus Elliott. Like, there is nobody else even
there's
close.
London
I think there
Marathon.
was a quote from Mo Farah, and he was like, I don't remember. My friend JP sent it to me, and he was like, I wanted to improve on my time of 205, and maybe I could go 204 or something like that, but that doesn't matter. I mean, he's like, how do you beat Elliott? You wait for him to retire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You either wait for him to have stomach problems and lay on the side of the road or retire, one or the other.
it's
And
like,
that's not going to happen. So. But here's the only reason why. So we can play some devil's advocate, Matt, because I think there's a good argument for marathon running being the hardest professional sport with pure jarring and intensity on the body. But, I mean, a cycling pro schedule through the years. Could you imagine doing 2 Grand Tours in 2 months, 3 months?
That's crazy.
Like,
That's 42 days of
but
racing.
You can only do a grand tour or have an event like that because you're not running.
Yeah.
You're not beating your body up. You couldn't do something like that in running. I mean,
no,
they have,
no, it would be impossible in running.
I guess
yeah.
they have Badwater and they have ultra marathons and they have things like that where they're 100 or 200 mile races, which are ridiculous. But
I'll even make the argument though that the ultra marathoners are nothing compared to your road marathoners. In load on the body, it's not even a comparison.
I think they're very different. I think that in my opinion, the talent level on road running far surpasses the ultra runners, and that people probably get mad at me when I say that, but that's the way it looks.
I'll completely agree. I mean, really, if we're talking, I think we're talking about what is the hardest sport. You have to look at from pure physiological, like really compare the numbers. The only reason I really do think cycling needs to, like road cycling needs to be compared into that is because, yeah, it's not the same jarring on the body, but I mean, have you guys looked at like the amount of calorie? Like
I completely disagree with you.
Really? This is hilarious that I'm now defending cycling and Lance is saying running is the...
No, and I don't think it's running either.
What do you think it is?
I think the hardest sport...
18 holes?
Bowling. They have to walk with those bags uphill,
I think it's MMA. Mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
You get punched
boy.
in the face
This is
every
true.
day.
Every day
No,
you get
don't have
punched.
to be
That can be
physically
over in 30 seconds, though.
Yeah,
This is true.
They could be, but that's because you got punched in the face so hard that you go loopy, or you got your arm pulled out of the socket, or
Yeah.
See, I don't. Yeah, it's just a sport. I don't look at that as a
punching
sport, though.
in the face. That's all I'm gonna say. And that is more difficult.
This is the
than
problem is I
riding a
kind of
bike.
agree with everybody arguing right now. I'm having a hard time choosing one of these.
And Lance, also, I feel like a lot of those matches come down to endurance. Like, it comes
They
down
can.
to who, I mean, boxing, right? Where it's like, yeah, you're getting punched in the face, but at the same time, like, after a couple rounds, like, they're exhausted.
fatigued.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
fatigued. So, and that's when someone takes advantage.
I
and
once
just destroys
wrestled
you.
with a buddy for like 3-minute
Yeah.
rounds, and I was like sore for 5 days afterwards. So,
Right.
but I think, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like, yes, MMA needs to be up there. Like, it is. I mean, that is obviously an incredibly
punching
hard sport.
in the face. That's
But
all
it's-
I can say.
Didn't somebody punch somebody in the face in the tour last year?
Yeah, they did. Lance
But
punched.
it's
Lance
a little
one time
like,
punched somebody in the
it's-
face.
It's a spaghetti arm punch in the
Yeah.
face. I mean, this
This
guy's
is
has
true.
no arm.
This is true. But I think if you were to take a poll, would you rather be in a 3-minute MMA bout or attempt to
Oh, I'm
finish
never
the
stepping
Tour
in
de
a ring.
France? Would you rather try and attempt to finish the Tour de France?
Yes, I would.
And I'm not
Like
talking
it-
riding it. We're talking racing this thing. That is basically getting punched in the face for 21 days repeatedly.
And those
It's just a softer punch each
Yeah.
time.
Well, none of you guys mentioned the classics ride. Those things look brutal.
Yeah.
You know, like Hell of the North. That's just,
Yeah. I
that's
think
getting punched in the face
you
for
can
sure.
you can
'cause-
judge the difficulty of a sport by look at the people finishing it, look at their face. So MMA way up there. You know, I mean, we're looking at that face. That guy's lights out. Looking at the guys after classics, they look like they just like went through a war basically.
Yeah.
You look at a golfer after, just absolutely wrecked. I mean, the guy looks like he
Tiger
could
Wo-
probably
Tiger
drink a
Woods look
nice
rough
a
after
nice
his
lemonade right after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's set aside MMA. That's its own little animal and beast, and
I almost want to agree with Lance on this.
there's just a small sect of people that are going to compete in that to begin with. Is cycling more difficult than any of the staple U.S. sports, like your football, baseball, basketball,
Yes.
soccer, hockey? We'll throw that
End
in
of
there,
story.
too.
Yes.
So
No, football is brutal. Football is, I mean, endurance wise, no, it's not harder, but you know, you get run into by a linebacker at full speed, and
yeah,
You're
well,
get-
your
you're
average
getting into a
running back
small car
lasts,
wreck.
What, 3.5 years? The
Yeah.
average NFL running back. Now, what's going to be more difficult though? A 16-game schedule and maybe some postseason in there as well, or doing a whole season of all of the bike racing?
Let me pose this question to you, Lance. How many people would much rather play football in this country? It's one of the most played sports.
yeah,
How many people go into professional cycling? Very few. And I don't think that that's a sports popularity thing. I think that it is not a fun and easy sport. It is incredibly difficult.
cycling isn't glamorous.
It's not glamorous.
Winning a
and it's
football
hard.
game is all glamour.
Football's glamour. And let's
Yeah.
be honest,
It
those
is.
guys have like 6-month-long off seasons. And don't sit here and try to pretend to me that going in and doing 3x10 in the weight room is hard work. It's not. We've all been there.
Yeah.
I've been in a college weight room before, so has Jake. It's fun. It's not hard. Going on a 3-hour drop ride is hard.
Yeah.
That is hard. Yeah.
American football is popular in the United
It is.
States. Outside of the States, cycling is a bigger sport.
Mm-hmm.
And cycling is the most watched sport in the world.
Yeah.
I think it's right up there with
Soccer's gotta be-
just beyond soccer.
Soccer's the most, yeah.
No, I remember when I was putting together our
Yeah.
sponsorship packets and whatnot, when they compile all the numbers and when you get all the statistical data, more people watch cycling than soccer around the world.
I have heard that because the Tour, the Giro, and the
Yeah.
Vuelta go through towns where literally the entire town will come outside and technically watch it. So
It's up there, and I'd say that those two are probably like neck and neck because
and everybody in Belgium is watching those races.
Yeah.
You think about the
So-
classics, every single human in Belgium is watching
just
those.
because it's not big here in the
a country
United
of a million
States.
people, though.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'll have to look up those numbers for a future.
Yeah, I don't know where they get those numbers from because to me, soccer's still like the most visible sport in the world.
It seems largely the most popular sport in the,
Yeah.
in the
And
world.
being the former soccer player on this podcast, I will not even put soccer into this argument.
Yeah.
Soccer is a blast of a sport.
Yeah.
It is incredibly. Those guys are incredibly talented. When we're talking about the difficulty and how brutally, physically, mentally taxing a sport is, soccer doesn't make the top 10 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So you can finish a game and be like,
I was fine.
I'm good. Yeah.
I literally would play 90 minutes and run around all day
Yeah.
and feel great by the end. I'd be tired, but nothing compared to what I
It's
go through
short
now.
bursts.
Yeah.
You know.
Matt was quick to say that triathlon's more difficult of a sport than cycling. Would you guys venture? Would you guys like to
I
talk
agree.
about that? Do
I
you think it
agree.
is?
I can
Okay.
argue triathlon too.
I'm going to say right now that there's two guys sitting at this table. Maybe even you, if you were to kind of get yourself back into shape, you could go out and do an Ironman in a respectable amount of time. You know, Matt's a sub 10 hour. Evan will be there.
Was.
But you
Year and a half
did.
ago.
You are forever.
A year and a half ago. But
Evan's going to be pushing sub 9.
how many of you guys could finish, like even if it was just an amateur race, the equivalent of the Tour de France or the Giro? Or could you go out and do a Paris-Roubaix and
Yeah.
like be competitive? I mean, I could finish
Yeah.
it, but I would be so far off the back it wouldn't even be funny.
I'll hold my answer for this until I actually race a full Ironman as a pro because I do truly believe I think the pro race from guys that I've talked to who have done those pro Ironman races, it is night and day from the amateur race. It's very similar to like going and riding the Tour de France route, like hard, group rides, and then realizing what those guys are actually putting out
Yeah.
in those last 20, 30 mile segments. I mean, we're talking, guys who have run this table, Lance and Matt and Jake can appreciate the run speed still. You're looking at the world champion at Kona. We're talking on the lava fields, like literally shoe melting sort of heat. He's running 6:10 pace at the end of a 7.5 hour race, and he's cruising at that pace, like capable of running under 6 at Kona, which is just incredible.
I think triathlon is significantly harder. You just beat yourself up so much more on those runs after
I don't know.
biking.
It just,
But-
these are all so different that I think it's really hard.
It's very
to kinda
hard to compare them.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't bike hard. You don't bike that hard.
No.
you can if you don't.
Oh yeah,
But I mean,
an Ironman so like that 56 mile bike split in Galveston,
Yeah.
nothing compared to like Cat 3 races I've been in.
Or
Cat
e-
3 races
or-
so much harder
or
than that
even your
bike ride.
Saturday group ride. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet you went harder on your Saturday group
Absolutely.
ride, which you should.
Absolutely,
right? 'Cause,
you go harder on group rides. Yeah.
So it's very different. So I think it's extremely hard to compare. But then you get into the run, and you found out where you could crack on that half marathon. In a marathon, it's very similar, right? Where you get usually to 22, whatever it is, and then you find your spot where you're going to crack.
It's pure guts
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point.
And so cycling is cycling like that. Sometimes it is, and I think that
yeah.
it's really hard to say like which sport is harder. None of us chose swimming. I don't know.
I was
like a
gonna
warm-up.
I was gonna throw swimming in here. Here's the only problem with swimming, is we're talking like
No.
I don't think
There's
it is.
no
like,
impact.
like 100
It's just
meter
endurance.
like 100-meter
It's-
race
it's-
is very genetically based.
efficiency and stroke. It's stroke efficiency and endurance.
Yeah. You can just look at Michael Phelps. Like I've heard his lactate numbers were like super low after some races because he's just that efficient and incredible at what he does. Now, granted, any of us trying to hold on to Michael Phelps would be more lactate than an elephant could take. But I agree. Swimming on a training basis is incredible just because they put in so much time. But like so do these other sports.
Yeah.
So you got to look at on race day what is the sport that takes the most out of you.
I think it's hard. I don't have a good answer. I think I would think something along the lines of marathon, cycling. Because
Let's go one answer for everybody because we've all been beating around the bush here.
Sure.
Let's you get one choice, and we're just talking in totality: training, race days, professional lifestyle. What is the hardest sport?
I'll go
Matt.
triathlon.
I'm going to go cycling. There's so many little caveats
Yep.
that are built into that. And like their tour, like their travel schedule, their training schedule, the volume of like how difficult the races are, and the sheer volume of races that they're doing.
Yep.
It's like a nonstop thing for these guys. And the other thing is these guys start racing in their early 20s at a professional level. They usually don't hang it up until they're like well into their 30s,
yep.
maybe even close to 40, some of these guys now. And as, technology, as, as we start to get like a little bit more savvy with nutrition and recovery and all these other things, they might even go further than that.
Yeah.
So I think that the sheer volume, I'd have to say cycling is tough. And I'm not trying to take anything away from triathlon. I think it's a hell of a hard sport. I don't have any desire to do it because it's that hard. But
Lance?
I think Ironman triathlon is significantly harder than cycling. I've never been more beat up in my life than after a very hard effort in an Ironman race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like ruined for weeks.
Yeah.
Not hours or a day or two, weeks.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Jake here. I'm gonna say I've watched cycling for too much of my life, and kind of those professional schedules are crazy.
So let me ask you one other question here. Yeah. So Sanders last year at Kona.
Yeah.
He finished in what, it was just like under 9 or just over 8 or something like that?
He had a bad day.
He had a bad day. He crashed.
8:30, I think is what he finished at. 8:25.
But he still set the record, didn't he?
No. You're thinking of Patrick Lange, the German who won the race.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yep.
That's so much of a triathlon.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah.
So what was his time again?
So he set the world record 7:53.
Okay.
7:53.
Something like that.
Right around there. Somebody could err me on that, but yeah.
Who had a more difficult day? Him?
Oh.
Or Michael, John Blank, Amstel Gold.
Oh,
Matthew
Van Der Poel. Yeah.
Matthew Van Der Poel. Gosh darn it.
I think it's hard to say.
It's a hard question. It is.
Who had a harder day? Who put out more effort?
Here's the thing. You're picking one triathlon race, versus that did not have a sprint finish versus, a race where there was basically a sprint finish on the road bike. There are tons of road bike races that, a breakaway happens or whatever it is, and someone pulls away and, they cruise to victory or whatever it is. Triathlon is such a weird sport in that happens very frequently. There's not a lot of drafting and stuff like that. And when you get to the running part of it, or there's not supposed to be drafting on the bike either, but you have these situations where someone is just more fit. And when you're that much more fit, you can win sometimes and not have a killer day. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's an easier sport. And I think running is very similar to this.
I think Patrick knew that Bart Arnault was chasing him down, though. So I think he was still hammering that entire time. So I'm going to say, now I still think cycling is the harder sport. I'm going to say Patrick, though. Here's the reason, is because that was the world championship. He had months of training built up for that. MVP could have raced 2 days after Amstel Gold and probably still put out a solid effort, I think. I mean, he was, I'm sure Van Der Poel, even with how incredibly strong that guy is, was probably toast the next day.
But there's a race that hard every 3 days.
Exactly.
During the Spring Classics.
If you ask Patrick Lange to put out that same effort 3 days later, impossible.
Right.
There's no, and if he did,
he's not even walking
blood
the
test
next
him
day.
right now.
Yeah.
If he did, that guy's absolutely doping. But I think, but if you ask me who put out the harder effort in the final portion of that race, I mean, it's not even close. Like,
Van Der Poel?
Van Der Poel, not even close. And this is why I think the fact that Van Der Poel is now is doing that on a 3 day, 4 day basis is why I think cycling is the harder professional sport. Because Lange, with his sponsors, can literally do that type of effort 3 times in a year. Period. Make a yearly salary off of just doing that 3 times.
But Amstel Gold is like 6.5 hours, and Ironman is 8 hours
with a run.
With a run.
With a run. Yeah.
You also get to swim though.
That's just a
float in this water.
I so wish it was that easy as floating. Oh God, if it was just floating, that'd be so nice.
I think it's hard.
You just neutralize the swim.
I think they're very different sports, and I think it's hard to compare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very subjective.
It's a great question, though. I think that's an awesome question.
Good hot seat question.
Yeah, I like it.
I have another little one here. I was kind of thinking about this one. 10 things you didn't know about cycling pros, and I'm just curious how much you guys think you're like pros. Now, I'm not talking about just your physical abilities. I'm talking about all of the other things that go into racing. Do you think that you and pros are more similar than dissimilar? It's a very just surface question.
I'm too much of a triathlete. I don't think I'm even close to what a cycling pro is.
I'm going to jump into a few things here just because we have a few minutes, and then we'll get into our one last thing. But here's just a couple quick things, and tell me if you guys agree with this, or if it's something that you can relate to. They still get nervous before races of all sizes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's
you're the psychopath or the sociopath sitting at the table.
We've
right?
talked about this. I only a couple times a year get nervous before races.
Yeah.
I don't like getting nervous before races.
Your mechanical skills are probably better than theirs.
I agree with that. Probably. Maybe.
I've heard that before, that a lot of these pros really struggle with their own mechanics.
Yeah, they have someone work on their bike for them. So
Their easy days are really, really easy, so you could even tag along.
We know that. Oh yeah, that's definitely how they train. Yeah.
Smart training, Lance.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Lance is absolutely not trained that way. We know he's not.
Guys, help me train for the stage race. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I'm not sleeping, and I don't take easy days. What should I do for my recovery?
My Training Peaks fatigue number is like minus 39 or something right now.
I don't think negative's good.
All right, here's another one. They take the whole coffee-loving cyclist stereotype very seriously. Is that you? Not you, Lance, right?
Not me.
No?
Since I've moved to this region, I now have become, I'm not a coffee snob by any means, but I really appreciate good coffee now. I love good coffee.
Yep. Me too. How about you, Matt?
Man,
Yeah.
I love coffee.
Does pastries
No
fall
problem.
into there too?
Sure, we'll lump that in there.
Is there an Instagram page?
You know, there's this Instagram page, in case any of you are wondering.
Yeah.
Post-race pastry, yeah.
Post-race pastries. Check it out.
You should take a look, yeah.
They are not making big bucks. Well, most of them aren't.
Right.
So I can relate to that. I'm not making big bucks doing the whole bike racing thing.
I don't
Lance
even
made
have a job.
$15.
Lance won 15.
I won $15 this season.
Lance has
I am
made-
the winner so far at
Yes.
this table.
Yes, you are.
Prize
Lance
money.
is technically the only pro endurance athlete at this table if we want to go by actual won money.
They can seriously chow down.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You put in more office hours or work at the office than they do on a bike. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'd be shocked if they're working more than I am in the office right
Yeah.
now. So
I mean, what are they doing? How many hours a week do pro
30.
cyclists? They run 30 hours a week?
That's a really big week for
It
a pro.
is.
They're
Yeah.
probably more in the 20 range if you were to ask
now,
me. But
back in the 70s, 80s, they were probably close to that 30, 40 hour range, but the trains changed a lot.
I think they're not on the bike quite as much, but they are doing other stuff off the bike. So if you calculate all of that up together,
Probably 30,
yeah,
I would think.
yeah. They spend most nights away from home in beds that are not always the most comfortable. They got me beat there. And they're more likely to be germophobes than the general population.
Yeah, it's because they're riding the
Yeah.
the
You're pushing
they're
hard, and you
riding
don't
the
wanna,
line all
if
the
you
time.
get sick, you're in probably not good situation.
This
for
is
your
where I
team.
think they do themselves a disservice there long term, is because I really do. I'm such a firm believer in training your immune system all the time. Not that I'm saying go and eat
You
food
should
off the
come
ground,
hang- Yeah,
but like
there's I come over to our house.
little children. Yeah, this is what
little
I've heard is
Petri
that
dishes
answer
running around.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could pick up my kid from daycare,
Yeah.
today, that'd be great.
See, this is the only reason I got into the medical field, though, is because I have to train for children. So I'm just getting exposed to sick people. Literally, 90% of my patients are sick all the time
Yeah.
of some sort. They got something. So.
I've never done that to you.
No, Jake has not actually.
All right, one last thing. Lance, one last thing, Bob.
Okay, so I'm driving to San Diego tomorrow.
Ooh, I know a podcast you could listen to.
When I need to stop somewhere halfway, should I go to Monterey Bay and Big Sur, or should I go to Yosemite?
Yosemite.
Yeah, Yosemite.
You should go to look at El Capitan.
But I've been to Yosemite a couple times in the last year, and I haven't been to Big Sur or.
Oh,
Big
well, then
Sur
that
is
kinda
nice.
answers the question.
I'd check that out if you've already been to Yosemite. Yosemite probably still going to have some snow and some wintry-ish kind
Yeah.
of stuff going on there. Save that for the summertime. That's
All right.
my 2 cents.
That's it.
There you go.
Oh, one last thing, hot seat question.
Yeah.
Evan, one last thing.
Speaking of pro cyclists, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Jacob Fuglsang finally got a win, which is very cool.
Yes.
And anybody who's been watching the classic seasons should be happy for that poor
Because
guy.
he was second and third and
He's
second, and he made the
He's
final
been
break every time.
final breakaway, and the poor guy, last one he gets at the longest day. That's like an underrated story. This classic season was like Fuglsang getting that win. Last one, longest race.
So what happened to Alaphilippe in this last one?
That's a good question. I'm watching it tonight, so we'll see. Yeah. Kind of a long race to watch.
Yeah.
Matt, one last thing.
Today I posted a video about my wife's running group. It's called Trashy Running.
They're awesome.
They're awesome. They go and they pick up trash when they run. You guys can check them out. They have a website, trashyrunning.com. You can check out the video. I posted one of the videos to my site on YouTube. It's youtube.com/mlegrand if you want to learn a little bit more about trashy running.
Cool.
Did I see that she was like interviewed by some local news station or what was it?
Yeah, there's a girl, a lady, and she does like news story type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that. I thought that was cool. She was asked
Oh yeah.
about trashy
Totally.
running.
Yeah, I mean,
Just a girl in Camas, that one.
Yeah. And she's really animated. It's,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Very
So
animated.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for my wife's group because it was really small last year, but I think this year it's going to be a lot bigger. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know that I sent the video to my wife. I sent her a link, and she's going to
okay.
be posting it up on her MRTT site.
Yeah, that will
Hopefully,
help a lot.
get lots and lots of women out there to go running, pick
Yeah.
up all the trash.
Or guys. It can be guys too, I
Oh.
guess. I don't think it's specifically women. It mostly is girls, and I think it's just because my wife started a group. But
Yeah. And you got to keep
and I
up
gotta
with
watch
Matt's
the kids.
wife too, which she's faster than you.
She-
In case people were
I
wondering,
don't know
she's
why I
probably
didn't-
faster than you. Yeah.
that was my one last thing. My real one last thing is that my wife ran a half marathon
I
yesterday.
saw that. Yeah.
Oh,
PR, right?
Yeah, she went PR. She went 135 and a half.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
And I was like not expecting her to hammer this one. I was not expecting her to do that well. I didn't think she would PR, but man, she's on fire.
wow.
Sweet.
I know. It's fast.
My one last thing, part A, is I'll be at a PR tonight. I am on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to take my bicycle. It's supposed to be my rest day. I'm still a little nervous about racing. I'm still not quite sure where I'm going to be with respect to being in that 1-2 field. I think I can hang with them.
I think you can.
I don't know if I would have the legs to win it, but I know I could hang with them and finish the race. I'm not worried about getting dropped, but I'm still very nervous and anxious about getting out there in the event that something should go sideways. If somebody goes down right in front of me, that's all she wrote. It's just going to wreak havoc on my body, and that's the last thing that I need. So I'm
You got to start back somewhere.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
going to
the
be
thing.
like 68.
It'd probably be the
today.
safest. It'd probably be the safest first race.
Yeah, I skipped on the first two because it was wet, and now it's sunny, and I've got to either put my feet to the fire and get out there and do it, or go crawl in a corner
And
with
I
my
think-
tail between my legs and just watch my son race his bicycle out there. So,
I think it's a tough call. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, if this is a good spot to start back and you want to start back racing, then this is. I mean, PIR is an easier like entry place.
Yeah.
It's staying
potentially.
sunny too. I just checked the weather for you. It's staying sunny.
yeah, if you hit the rewind button, the last time I raced with a 1-2s,
Yeah.
down she goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the Cherry Pie Road race.
Yeah.
There was that big crash right in front of me, and I hit a guy going 35 miles an hour and got slapped on the concrete pretty hard, and that was rough. And just got recovered from that, and then got hit by a car. So I haven't raced with those guys since last May, and we're coming up on a year. I'm just kind of like,
The ability's there. I mean, the wattage is there, and
Right.
yeah,
Is there
probably
any
the comfort back on the bike is there. I mean, you looked comfortable descending when we were coming down large and all that. Not that we were hammering down large by any means,
Yeah.
but you don't look like you were apprehensive with anything.
no, I feel stable.
Yeah.
I'm still tight, and I can still feel it from time to time. But I just doing all the home exercise, doing all of my work on the bike, and I've been purposefully climbing. Like yesterday when we went out and were riding, I still did. I think it was like 3,200 feet of climbing yesterday on a shorter ride, and I was just out of the bike, really like overemphasizing the rocking and the pushing and the pulling of the arms, and just that's my physical therapy. I'm doing that on the bike. So.
Yeah. So we talked about mountain biking and out of the saddle road biking.
You know, trying to do my core work and all that other fun stuff, and it's flat, so I know that I'm not gonna have to worry about getting dropped because I'm still like carrying weight that I don't want to have on. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll let you know. Stay tuned.
All right.
Tune in next week to find out if Jake raced PR.
Yeah.
Part B. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Mr.
dear Lance
Hepler.
Romance. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. That was terrible.
What?
That was actually pretty good. I think we synchronized pretty well. I feel like we need to play that back here.
All right, you guys. If you want to check us out on our social medias, the book face at Dial Podcast, and the Instagrams at Dial Podcast. Check us out there. We will post up some stuff this week. You can also see when we put out the podcast. You don't have to wait for the little notification to come through on your phone. Literally, right after it gets posted on all of our social media. You can click through and see that it's up. We also will be posting up some pictures from Mr. Lance's birthday today and a few other things that happened this week. The guys have been helpful. They've been posting up a few things here and there, so you're getting a little bit more media content and see what's going on in our lives and with the Dial Podcast. It's been fun stuff. You guys, thanks again for this week. Thanks for coming in. It's always a pleasure. Happy birthday, Lance.
Thank you.
You guys have a great week. Lance, will we have you on location next week?
Yeah, I'll be somewhere between San Diego and Las Vegas.
Tune in to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Tune next week to find out. Does Jake Lance race PIR, and where's Lance?
All right, you guys, thank you for listening so much. We do appreciate it. You guys have a great week. Bye for now.